Hi everybody, this is Tao Wong. If you're on this channel, you probably know who I am. I'm a sci-fi and fantasy author who's mostly writes in the lit RPG and progression fantasy realms with a dabbling in other things like cozy fantasy and urban fantasy and whatever else strikes my feelings, I guess, at that time. This is going to be the start of maybe a series of conversations with other author friends I have. And the first person I'm doing is Ai Jiang, and I'm going to let her talk.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ai. I am a sci-fi fantasy horror writer, sometimes a mix of all three. Sometimes I write literary things. It's a wild time out here. But yeah,
Yeah, Ai's hasn't mentioned, but she's won a number of awards, I believe, at this point. What are they again? This I know you. I know you've been nominated for at least the Nebulas and I think World Fantasy too, and certainly the Bram Stoker ones too, right?
yes. So last year I won the Bram Stoker and Nebula, and then
Yep.
was Hugo nominated. Yeah.
There you go. Yes. So she is a very good writer. I tell people all the time that I bought her book Ling Hun, which is a horror book, and I have never finished it. It is a little too scary for me. Um, it's very well written, but I was getting too many nightmares. So it
Oh
is a book
no.
I've set aside for the future, um, when I am possibly less stressed. So maybe at
That
that
is
point.
fair.
But it's so well written that it does give me nightmares, and it's a horror book, so exactly what it should be doing in some ways. At least I feel that, good horror books do that. Stephen King's Pet Cemetery did that to me too when I was young.
Oh,
Ugh.
oh no.
Most of his other work doesn't bother me as much, but for some reason, Pet Cemetery was not.
It could be the pets.
Yeah, I don't. It was the kids waking up and sitting in front. It's
Mm,
like, yep.
no, that's fair. I think I haven't read that book, but I watched a movie of it and it was very unsettling.
It is. It's, I think, one of his better ones, for
Mm.
sure. Though he's got, he's one of those people that we all kind of want to illuminate in terms of the number of movies he's had made of his work. My God.
That's true. One day,
One
one
day.
day.
We hope. Um, so just before we were having this discussion, I's mostly trad pub. Actually, all trad pub really. I don't think you have any independent work or self-published work.
I no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless you count like in high school.
Yeah. Nah. So yeah, she's I's pretty much self-published. Sorry, trad pub works in. You've got novellas, novels. Novel has a full novel come out? You haven't had a full novel come out yet, right?
No, it's coming out next September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've had your novellas, the Ling Hun and I Am. It's I Am I? It's not out yet. That's the full novel, isn't it? Is
No,
it?
IMI is the novelette. It came out the same year
Oh,
as
okay.
Ling Hun. Yeah.
Right. 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 I thought you were expanding that.
I thought about it, but I feel like maybe not. I was expanding a short story I've written in 2022 called
Mhm.
Give Me English. So I've expanded that and then
Oh,
we will
that's
see how
right.
it goes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Sorry, that was I'm getting the names mixed up. Yes, Give Me English. That's the one that you're expanding. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was a fun one. I actually really like that one. It's an interesting concept where people are almost selling away their languages and their words and how that creates an economy there. Very, very interesting ideas I comes up with, which is yeah. But you've also had some really interesting blog post about how many short stories, because that's where you got started, um, how many short stories you've written and how many you've submitted and everything like that.
Yeah, I remember when I first started in like the industry, I was thinking about improving my craft first before moving into long form because at that point I was like, it's a very daunting undertaking to write like a full novel. And at that point I had no idea how to with like all the subplots, different characters. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do short stories first and like first figure out how to go from A to B before adding all those extra things in between. Yeah. But yeah, so I had submitted a lot of short stories when I began, and I think my mindset, because I had talked to a few friends who were like, "Oh, like can't send out a short story until it's like finished, and that might take like a few months, a year, couple of years." But at that point, I was like, if I do that, I might not get anything published, and I wanted to move faster in my career. So I was like, everything that I finish writing, I just throw out into the world and see where it sticks.
Yeah, and you've had pretty decent success. I remember that blog post. You were what, 500 plus? Was it 300 or 500 plus short stories that you'd written over a 2 year period or something?
I don't think it's been that much, but I think published it is over 100 now. But
Yeah.
then at that point, I had like between late 2020 to like 20 end of 2022 or so, I sent out I think over 1,500 submissions. Yeah.
Yeah. It's no, I mean it's an interesting thing. I mean, I talk to a lot of writers, and the there's a lot of different camps of how to write in some ways, you know. And as you said, some people are like, I have to get it perfect and get it right and
Mhm.
get it done. And then there's people like yourself and to some extent myself, actually probably me more than you, I think, where we just write it and bang it out and just throw it out into the world. Uh, but I don't know. I'm obviously there are people who have amazing success doing the other way, in putting out one work, you know, every two,
Mhm.
3 years or something. Louise McMaster Bujold, which is one of my favorite authors, she puts out a work once every 2, 3 years, and that's because she's very slow at her process. So I don't know which way is best, I guess.
I think whatever works for the individual writer is great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but you're one of the to me, interesting people in the sense that, and this is not casting any shade on people who aren't, but you're full-time and track pub kind of thing. And that's relatively rare, I would say. And so I kind of figured I'd, you know, talk to you and what are your thoughts on that area, you know, being
It is very stressful, I think, in that like I feel like because trad moves so slowly and they don't feel particularly friendly to people who want to publish like a lot, like multiple times a year type of thing, right? And in multiple genres. Because I guess like in the history of trad, it feels like they want to develop you in one direction first before you pivot to another direction, or they kind of want you to have a pen name if you want to go to multiple directions, just so they can keep like those different paths separate, if that makes sense. But for me, I kind of want to keep everything under one name, which makes it kind of difficult because then people will be like, okay, so what kind of thing does she write? And then for me, it's like, well, I want people to just see my name, and be like, yeah, she writes everything.
I get that. We actually have that same kind of branding discussion in indie pub all the time. It's like, oh, should I use, you know, the same name? Should I use pen name? Should I add a K in front of my name? Partly just, you know, even adding a single letter or your middle name would change how or can change how
Mhm,
Amazon lists your books. So sometimes it helps, right? Uh,
mhm.
and so then the question is, does it is short term, it obviously helps. because to keep, all your books within the same genre, like fantasy, get books all they're all recommended for other fantasy books that you have.
Hmm.
I just don't know if, as you said, in the long term, it helps because
Hmm.
if you, as the writer, want to write a lot of things,
Hmm.
having it split across it becomes harder, I think, in the long term.
I think it'll be an interesting experiment with my own career, which is I don't know if something I can afford, but because like when you think about authors who write in one specific field for a very long time, they have like a very dedicated following, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like it would be interesting to see authors who write in like several different fields and if their readership ends up intersecting afterwards because they're like, oh, like I've been fan of their fantasy, maybe I'm gonna try their sci-fi or things like that. So it'd be kind of interesting.
I think it helps when you're doing like sci-fi and fantasy because there's enough overlap in the fan base
Hmm.
that there will be some crossover, not completely, but there
Hmm.
will be. I don't, and horror to some extent sometimes kind of crosses over, but I don't know if it's enough kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is a weird experiment. But what you were talking about with press and how slow 𝗃𝗏 is goes back to some of the earlier conversation that we were starting to have about timelines. I don't think a lot of people realize, and I didn't realize how crazy the timelines were before I got the trad deal. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, because you're talking about trying to go and write it, submitting a book for your novella coming out, sorry, your novel coming out in September, and
Hmm.
got a novella coming out, what was it, March, was it?
April.
April this
Yeah.
year. And that was submitted early this year for that.
Hmm.
And so your novel is coming out September, and you've submitted it when?
So that one was submitted like when they bought it. So that was like it went on sub already complete. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's like over what, a year and a half now would be?
I think so. So we had sold it in I think July, August-ish,
Okay. Yeah.
2024. Yeah, but it was
2024.
never formally announced until December 2024.
It's
So
okay.
there's that aspect too, the whole announcement. Sometimes it's like very, very fast, sometimes it's very slow. It just depends. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same problem with the Thousand Lee announcement. It's so funny. We got the deal kind of completed last year,
Hmm.
literally around this time, just before everyone went on holiday which publishing does over
Hmm.
Christmas. They all just go on holiday around this time. Um, so we finished the deal before Christmas and it was all sorted. And then we waited for the contracts to start arriving and whatnot. And I think it took like 4 or 5 months, which is considered
Oh,
fast.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to get all the contracts sorted. And then on top of that was another, I think, 3 months or so before the announcement came. And it was very last minute. It was like, oh yeah, we got the cover already. We need to do a cover
That's
review.
wild.
It was just like we haven't announced. And at the same time, we signed another but yeah, cannot talk. Anyway, there's another announcement waiting, and I'm just like, oh God, everything is just sitting around, you know.
No, for sure. I've also heard of ones where it's like they've announced first and then it took like 10 months for the contract, and you're just like, that's so wild.
I know. It's just like, wait, but what if the contract is weird or whatnot? And it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, with the big ones, there's not really a lot you can do, at least with the trad pub. With big five trad pub, there's some things you can change, but most of it is locked in place.
Hmm.
So the things that you can change are just minuscule kind of argument.
Yeah.
A lot of
Unless you're like one of the big guns and have more sway.
Yeah, even then, I think from what I mean, so some things you can change, but
Hmm.
a lot of it is pre-argued over already. And so when you get
Mm,
to contract stage, it's just like, okay, well, these are the things that we argued about and we're changing for you, you know. Yeah, I'm
hmm.
sorry if you don't like the wording on our liability side. Too bad, we're not changing it. And that's
Hmm.
we were doing the deal with Audible, and that was terrible.
Oh no.
The yes is very much no. And then sometimes it'd be like, oh yeah, no, we got this changed to last time. And then they'll be like, no, not this time. And it's like,
Oh.
but yeah, all the timelines are so weird. It's like I'm working because of 1,000 leads, all in some ways all pre-written already. So I'm doing a lot of copy and line edits only,
Hmm.
mostly proofing. It's not even copy and line edits, because we can't change without breaking the connection between print and ebook and audio. So
Mm,
too much of a change, then there'll be too much of a difference between the three, and then
hmm.
people like things get weird. So
Hmm.
it's very much, oh hey, this line is off. Maybe, or this word is the wrong one. How
Hmm.
did, thousands of readers not see this and not tell us? But what do you,
Sometimes it feels, oh no,
sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go.
No, I was going to say sometimes it feels like readers notice the weirdest things, and sometimes like the most glaring thing they don't notice at all.
It's true. Oh, so you've the, for your try for going through TriPub and whatnot, what's how do you find the dev and copy and line editing? Because you've done a few kind of with TriPub editors now, both big and small, I guess, short stories
Mhm.
and whatnot. I don't think at least in my experience, short stories, they don't do very much editing at all. Uh,
No, very minimal.
not dev at least.
Mhm. I feel like it really depends because I feel like some magazine editors definitely do develop editing, like developmental editing with you. They'll
Really?
like,
Huh.
yeah, because sometimes they'll accept the story, but then they'll think parts of it might need to be reworked, and then they'll kind of like do a collaborative process and rework it with you, right? Or they have like R&Rs too, kind of like a trad pub,
Hmm.
where they'll give you kind of like their thoughts on how they think you can revise, and then you can choose whether to do it or not, right? And then resubmit it. So I've done two of those. Give Me English was actually one of those. I think the original short story was something like 2,400 words. And then after the R&R, it became like 4,500. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. That's really interesting. Yeah, I've never had
Yeah.
that happen. Most of mine have either been accepted or rejected, kind of thing. Not that I've had a lot of short stories published, I should say. Um, how about with your novelettes and novellas and novels, I guess? How's the process been?
So I think for Palace, because we did a lot of like editing and stuff with my former agent before we went on sub. So when it got to my editor, it was already pretty tight. So we did I believe, one round of edits, and then it just went to copy edits. So it was very quick. But then for the second book, I had sent it directly to my editor. So we had like one round of big um big notes type of thing, big structural things, and then the second one was more like line level edits, and then we had one more round of like smaller tweaks and stuff before it went off to copy edits.
Yeah. Huh. So that's like, wow, three, four, and then there's proofing on top of that. So that's like five. Do you get print proofs as well that you have to go through?
No. So,
Okay.
well, like those would just be the arcs at that point. So
Okay, yeah.
technically, no, yeah.
Yeah, because what we've received for Thousandly has been copy and line edits. Basically, it's they're all kind of meshed together because of the reason why I mentioned. Then a proof,
Mhm.
and then the final proof, and then also the proof pages,
Mm,
so that we have to read through those as well, which I'm
mhm,
just like, and it's so weird because the work I love 𝗂𝗁 𝗃𝗏, but I've also written it 5 years ago, and so when
mhm.
I'm trying to read through it, I'm like, oh, this is so bad. Oh, I wish I could change this line, or oh, I can see why I need to do this, or and you're
Mhm.
always finding something, and I'm just like, ah, I wish I could, but
Mhm. It's always like that, yeah. I think that's like the most interesting thing too, is when the book is finally out, from the process of like acquisitions to publications, it might be like 3, 4 years or something like that, right? Maybe 2 if everything is very quick, right?
yeah.
And then you do like events for the books and people are asking you questions and I'm just like, I don't even remember this anymore because I'm writing something else.
That's so true. It's just like, oh yeah, tell me about this. It's like, I you guys know better than me. I literally have a Discord, and I will, when I'm writing like book 9 or 10 or something in a
Mhm.
series, I'll be inside the Discord going, "Hey, anyone remember this? I know this something happened here, but can you all know what chapter and what it is, or whatever? It can get me the details." And the fans are great in that. They'll find it for me because
Oh, I love that.
I'm just like, I have no idea. I have like 8 books backwards, and I know it's probably between book 4 to 6, but somewhere in there. Just
I
like,
think, yeah, you have a lot of books. I would not be able to remember.
oh, at least so far, most of them are the big ones. So people, I kind of get refreshed on them to some extent when people
Mm,
talk to me about it.
mhm.
Some of the other ones that haven't sold very well, if someone asks me a question on it, I probably won't have a clue because it's been so long. Like, what? I wrote that?
I feel that sometimes, or like there'll be like someone quotes it in one of their review posts or something like that, and I'll be like reading it, and I'll be like, "Oh, this sounds interesting." I was like, "Oh, it's in my book."
I Oh, do you ever come across times when you've got those lines that you've written, which you read them and go, that's actually quite a good line. And then you realize, wait, I wrote that. Eh, not bad.
Yeah, I think I've done both, where it's like, "Oh, that's not bad," and oh, oh no, what is that?
Oh, that happens more often than not. Especially now. I'm just like, oh, yes. Yes, this
It
line.
is. It is what it is. I think it's yeah, I think I've like ramped up in how quickly I'm trying to write long form too, because I've stepped away from short stories. So I think in like at least with Titan, my second book with them is coming out next year, and then also the third. But then I'm like moving to work on my ninth book. So there are like 4 of them unsold at the moment, and it's kind of
Oh.
crazy to think about.
That is insane. I'm actually thinking about, because I've got an option on my one of my contracts from 𝗂𝗏, and so I'm kind of thinking about that, going, how am I going to fit the time in to write the option book that I want to send to them in
Mhm,
between? It's because I've got so many other series too that I'm working on. I'm like, I want to do a good job. I want, I don't know about you, but I have different types of books in my brain. It's some of them really involved, and they take a lot, both emotionally
mhm,
and focus wise, to write. Like, it's
mhm.
hard. And then there's others where it's just kind of, they flow and they're easy and they're
Yeah.
simple, but they're not very deep either in terms of, the levels of thematic elements or ideas or world building
Mhm.
that I'm putting into it, comparatively speaking.
Mm,
Uh, and so 𝗂𝗏 books, I kind of want to go down the heavy side, but I've got so much
mm.
heavy work. I'm just like, I don't know where I'm going to find the time.
Yeah, I feel that. I think I've been trying to like oscillate between the heavier works and then the lighter works. So I'm doing like one heavy, one light, one heavy, one light. So it doesn't feel like I'm taking forever to write one book. Cause yeah, I feel like the fantasy ones I want to write, like, because I want to do epic fantasy eventually, but it's like so research heavy in what I'm trying to do. And I have like so many research books just on the shelf beside me that I've not read yet because in like I feel like as you get into publishing too, you get so many like side request things like interviews or podcasts or like blurb requests, right? And so I like say yes to basically everything and then it's and then I'm like, where's time?
I am glad no, I haven't had a lot of blurb requests so far. We'll see what happens, but I don't know if I could keep up with all of those. I don't have time to read for fun half the time. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I discovered that too. But then some of the blurb requests that come in are for books that I was going to read anyways. So I was like, yes, great.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm hoping. It's like, oh yeah, it's just send me a blurb request for stuff that I want to read. I'll happily read that, hopefully, you know.
Hmm.
But it's interesting that you're saying that. Sorry. Um, I forgot what I was going to talk about. I am so sorry. I
No, you're fine. But yeah, but on blurb requests, I think this year, oh, I have read about 55 books, and I think maybe 30 of those were blurb requests.
oh
Which I mean, like, it's great in that, like, you can discover new writers that you wouldn't have otherwise. And I feel like when I was newer in the industry, there were a lot of bigger authors who took a chance on my book and helped blurb my book. So I kind of want to like pay it forward.
yeah, no, I definitely see that. And it's something that I'll probably have to look into if and when someone asks. I have to worry about it later. Oh, but yeah. Oh, going back to planning ahead, and you're talking about having 4 books out. That's almost insane to me. It's like if I want a book out, and it's also just timing because if I want a book out in 28, 29 kind of thing,
Mhm.
that means I need to have the book written and finished probably by the end of this year. Sorry, end of next year at the
Yeah.
earliest, at the
Hmm.
latest, because and that's assuming, as you said, things go fast, right?
Hmm.
And they accept it and go out. So it's the timeline that you have to fit your brain around with 𝗵𝗵 really messes with me,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to handle it. I was mentioning this as well with money too. Um, with money is so weird too, because you get paid in a big lump sum when they
Hmm.
sign you, and then it can be a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years before your next, portion of it comes out,
Hmm.
and then the next portion. And I don't know if Titan and what was the other company? Titan and
So for the small presses, I work with Dark Matter Inc. and
right,
Shortwave. Yeah.
Dark Matter and Shortwave, sorry. Uh, I don't know if they do 3 part, how they split their. Is it 3 parts still, or is it 4? The
So for shortwave, let me think. From what I remember, I think it is quarterly, but then Dark Matter Inc. is monthly, and then Titan is like twice a year. Yeah,
yeah.
like once in the middle, once at the end.
Oh, I was thinking more the advances.
Oh, I see. Let me think. I think for Titan, each book was broken up into two.
Okay.
Yeah, so like four into four installments, like two book deal, four installments. Both of them were like that. And then Dark Matter was just advance upon um
Some
the contract
acceptance.
signing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And shortwave too, yeah. Because
oh,
like for small presses, their advances are smaller as well, so they don't really break it up. They just pay you either upon signing or upon publication.
that's in some way nicer. At least for me with Ace, it has been 3 or 4 sections coming through. It's just like big lump sum
Mhm.
thing. I think an Audible's deal comes in six different
Oh, wow.
books. Yeah. That one's a bit weird too because they were taking English and German and
Mm.
Spanish
Oh,
language rights.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of broken off based off when they get books and
Hmm.
because they're taking the whole series too. So it's kind of broken off, when they get the finished English ones, when they get all the finished German ones, and so on and so forth. So that one
Mm.
coming in weird sums coming all over through, but they're all just giant lump sums. And then now,
Hmm.
at least as an independent author, I'm used to having money all every month or coming in from
Hmm.
Audible and Kobo and Amazon and so on and so forth. And then I sold off all of these audiobook rights for 1,000 and my income went.
Mm.
So, and then I've got, all of these big chunks, these lump sum payments from the 𝗃𝗏, but now I'm not going to have anything until, I don't know, next year, middle of next
Hmm.
year, probably, because I'm still wait. Actually, no, I guess I get some money for acceptance. So whenever that comes out, and then I get some more money when it prints, and then
Hmm.
12 months after print, or so I think it's 12 months after print, I get
That's
a
wild.
more. It's just like so it's and then if you assume and you hope that they pay you on time, and if they pay through your agent, then your agent has to 30 days on top to add on top. So it's just I don't know how if I didn't have my indie income, it would be so weird to try to go and budget for the year.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they like set up LLMs or like
Yeah.
incorporate themselves. So then they have like, they put in all their lump sum into their like self company or something like that.
Mhm.
And then they pay themselves out of it, which I guess it's like easier to manage and makes more sense tax wise because technically you're not like using all of that money in that year either, right? Or like you're technically also not making all of that money either because the installments are weird. I don't know.
It's actually not a bad idea. We already have a company because of started publishing and everything. So it's all gone into there. So that's kind of fine, I guess.
Hmm.
Even then, trying to budget everything and trying to go, oh, hey, are we gonna get money here? Maybe if they remember and we don't have to chase them.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think for me, I'm like making enough, but not too much right now. So I don't really need to incorporate, but maybe in the future, I
Yeah.
will need to go and do that.
Well, when you go and sign your big five deal.
Let's see. Let's see if that's in the future for me.
Uh, well, I mean, it's always fascinating to me how the industry works too, because you've got so many good writers, but the deals and what people will sell and pay and whatnot is sometimes has nothing to do with how good a writer you are.
Hmm.
It's entirely to do with the market, the industry, who you know, if lightning is striking.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's been an interesting time. Or like I've heard of people who like maybe they wrote in a genre that's not currently trending, right? So it like died on sub or something, but then suddenly it's trending like 3 years later and they go to auction when they send it out again.
That's really kind of that's really cool. It's sorry, I my brain is running because one of the things that I always hear from 𝗃𝗏 authors is that they'll put out a book, it'll die on sub, and then they'll take it and then they'll call it trunk books, right? They trunk it,
Hmm.
they put it in their trunk and forget about it. And to me, because I'm indie, I'm like, if I put a book out and it died on sub, I would not trunk it. I would just publish it myself.
Hmm.
What you're saying, but if it's a trend thing, and then they can go into auction. Maybe it makes more sense in that sense to go and trunk the books just in case. Uh,
Hmm.
so Ah,
Yeah, and I think because like there's always like editor turnovers, things like that, new people coming in the industry, other people leaving. So you have like a second chance when there are new editors that you can try the book with.
yeah, that actually is, yeah, that's actually really fascinating that is something that it's almost a strategy to do
Hmm.
it that way for trend pop, which would not occur to me as being hybrid kind of thing. It's like, nah, you don't want it? Great, I'll just sell, I'll just do it myself. But um, I guess for me, it's been I have an entire setup for it, so
Hmm.
different. Um, Even then, though, if you can get a track pub it can be good too. But it's so, I don't know. It's such a weird thing. And the markets are so different in some ways. I at least think it's very
Hmm.
different markets. And so even if, the Thousand Leagues coming out in March, I'm like, I have no idea if it's going to do well. I know it did okay online, very good, but I don't know if it's going to do well in bookstores.
Hmm.
Going, I
I
would
mean, I feel like lit RPG is on the rise, especially with like all the new anime and like graphic novels, manhwa that is coming out too. Solo leveling, everyone's like waiting for the next one. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it does well and people pick it up and everything. But A Thousand Leagues is also not exactly a pure lit RPG. It's not.
Mm,
It's a cultivation series, but it's
hmm.
very a lot of the pure dedicated progression fantasy fans don't
Mm,
enjoy it as much. Uh, Partly because it's not a pure progression fantasy. A lot of it, I spent some time talking about Taoism in there, which is strange for some people. And so those type of concepts don't necessarily hit with everyone.
mm, that's true. I guess we shall see. I believe though.
Yeah, I'm hoping, but yeah. Ah, that's so we've been chatting for a bit. Anything you want to go and raise questions
Hmm.
for me?
Yeah, I think so. How are you finding like just like slotting your, self pub and trad pub stuff so far in the next like 2 years, I guess?
Insane. I am feeling a little on the burnt out side because this year has not been very I haven't don't have any release. I don't have to worry about it. But because I write ahead, which is quite unusual for indie authors, with in the sense that most indie authors they write, finish, publish within like 1 to 3
Mm,
months after they finish editing. I actually have work, or I used to have work that was up to like a year ahead of where
mm,
I am. And so a year, sometimes even a year and a half ahead of where I am, partly because I was having issues with editors and narrators and pressure. um, and so this year, I've actually been writing for next year,
hmm.
actually, a lot of the books. But one of the things I've found is because I have blackout dates on when I can publish in my contract with ACE, I can only publish and promote my own self-published works during certain periods. And
Hmm.
because the hardcovers are coming out basically every 3 months, starting from March next year. It actually spreads out and locks out large chunks of the year
Hmm.
where I cannot do anything and I can just put in a small book here. I have like
Hmm.
3 weeks. And so it's useful because I've pre-written most of those books and I
Hmm.
just hit it, no problem. But it does mean that I have to get all the books done and written and sorted. And I actually had to pull a book series that I was going to release this year. It's all
Mm,
written, finished, and whatnot, because I couldn't be certain I could finish book 2 in time to do a release
hmm.
without letting it spend like 9 months before book two comes out just because of all the blackout time periods. So
Yeah.
then, make my readers, especially online, if you don't have a book out within 6 months at the latest,
Hmm.
your read-through rates drop um,
Mm.
right off the cliff. And so rather than have that happen, I pulled that book, didn't release it, lost my pre-orders. Uh, Not a giant complaint about Amazon and not allowing us to push things, but whatever. Pulled it away, and now it's going to be released a year down later in September
Hmm.
this year, instead of. But that means that because I've finished writing book two already, I know that I can get book two out definitely within 3 months. I might release it a little faster, but it depends. Again, blackout dates are going to kill me in that I cannot actually. I don't think I have
Hmm.
an ability to do one a month. Like rapid release is a big strategy. They
Hmm.
do like one book once every 3 weeks or once a month,
Yeah.
and it really does great things for your read-through rates. But I can't do that because of there'll be a book in between. So I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
it's gonna be 3 months, and then book three. Hopefully, if I finish it in time, will be 3 months after that. So at least they'll be
Hmm.
relatively quickly spaced through and out.
Hmm.
But yeah, 2027, I've already received the calendar of when they want to release the
Mm.
paperbacks. So then I'm like, oh, right. So I'm planning for 2027 now
Yeah.
for my release schedules for both my indie and trad. And
Hmm.
I have to get all of this written as much as possible because next year is going to be insane and I don't know what's going
Hmm.
to happen.
Yeah, I find it very interesting how, like, in self-pub, the strategy is like the back-to-back releases, and it helps like with the read-through rate, right? So I'm very curious why for TradPub they do like 1 year apart, right? And then you can see how it really drops by the time the second book comes out, because then people also forget what they read in the first book.
Yeah. I mean, trad pub's what, like 50%, if you got a 30 to 50% read through to book two, it's considered good.
I
That's
think
what I,
so.
yeah, that's like 30% is considered, from what I've heard, 30% is okay, 50% is good. Um, as an indie author, I would tell people if your series is not doing 50% read through, that's a bad series. Don't
Mm.
don't write for it. You want at least 60%, generally speaking, 80%, 90% read through rate, golden, right? And that can
Hmm.
happen. I have a series, System Apocalypse, where my lowest read through rate is about 80%, and that's
Wow.
from book one to book two. Yeah. And then most of the other times from book two onwards, it's about 90%. I had,
Wow.
yeah, um, between book five and book six, which has a cliffhanger for a while,
Hmm.
I had 100% read through rate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was exactly 100. I'm sure there was a little bit of drop off, but it was,
Hmm.
the calculator was rounding up enough
Yeah.
that it was just like, holy crap. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's, but I was putting out a book every 3 months
Hmm.
in that series. I think it was slightly faster at some points and slightly slower, but between 3 to 4 months, read through, bang, bang, bang.
Mm.
So coming out really fast. And the
Yeah.
with the RPG is you do need, and on online, you do need 3 months is good, is fine.
Hmm.
6 months is pushing it. 1 year, you do see that 50% rate.
Hmm.
But I think for TradPub, it's just a lot of at least if you're doing printing, it's a lot
Hmm.
of money that is invested without knowing.
That's true. Yeah.
I think it'd be fine if you're a small press, where you're printing Canadian small presses, printing what, 1,000 to 3,000 books. It's not that much money, comparatively
Hmm.
speaking. But if you're big five and you're printing 50,000 books, you kind of
That's
want to know.
true. Yeah.
Well, I think that's partly part of it, but um, Oh, actually, I have another point of insight on that is the bookstores.
Mm.
We were talking about this because Matt Dinnerman, who basically opened the door for me to get a deal with Dungeon Crawler Carl, they released his books every 6 weeks
Oh, wow.
in 𝗃𝗏 because it's like mine is all pre-written, right? The first three
Hmm.
books. Um, but what they got, what Ace got back were complaints from the bookstores
Mm.
because the bookstores they didn't know what to order and how many to order for book two and book
I
three
see.
because book one hadn't even come out yet. And they were being asked to do
Uh,
orders for book two and book three. So they
hmm
were running out of books. And so they were like, give us more time. And
hmm
that's why they've pushed mine every 3 months
I see.
so that
Yeah,
they can have a little bit more time to make their orders.
that makes sense. And also they can have like the sales figures and stuff too, because they also have like very limited space in store, right, to stock all the books. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, physical stores are, I always call that when the lie of infinite shelving. Um, It's where we used to have my game store. We used to see about 40 to 50 new board games every week coming through in my emails. You know,
Yeah.
we had a 3,000 square foot retail space. It was huge.
Hmm.
Still couldn't stock everything that came through.
Yeah.
There's no way. So half the
Hmm.
time I would be throwing and you know, if I thought a game was good, I might bring in one copy kind of thing. Uh,
hmm
at
hmm
least two-thirds of it, I would just bring in zero. And there was a recent article I was reading from another bookseller that was doing the same thing, was talking about the same problem that he does, where he sees like 50,000 books a year.
Wow, that is actually wild. Yeah, that makes me think about like if a bookstore is willing to stock like even 5 copies of your book, you're probably doing great,
Yep. Yeah.
right? Because it means like they literally would have to move that many copies in like within the week, 2 weeks, within the month, because there's new stuff always coming in, right?
Yeah. I think he was talking about buying cycles every uh he had 3 buying cycles a year. So I would say every
Okay.
4 months that he's probably
Yeah.
looking at it. Probably
Hmm.
probably 2 to 3 months. Because by that point, if you're not sold all of those, you're in trouble. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
five,
probably
five,
why all the big publishers have like, their key or lead titles that they push to try to get onto shelves if they cannot get everything onto the shelf.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, if you got 50,000, you gotta, in some ways, pick your pick the ones that they throw at you. But
That's actually wild. Do you find that like the marketing side has been easier for you because you have like the ACE marketing team now for these books, so you don't have to do everything yourself?
um, that's a good question. Um, I think they do very different things. Like what I'm seeing on the back end, they do things very that I would never consider doing or I
Mm,
had the
hmm
ability to do. Like one of the
hmm
things I learned about was that they sent an email to all the booksellers highlighting the book, right? And it's like I don't have their emails for the booksellers. And even if I send them a random email going, "Hey, go buy my book," they're not gonna. I'm no one,
mm,
right? But Penguin Random House sends you an email, and in their email, you're gonna open it up because that's your job
hmm
as a bookseller. And they highlight me there. Great, that's a big thing. Um, so I think it's very different. Like they're getting me. There's talks of getting me into places like the Library Association in Ontario, and other things like that. So I have no ability to tap into things like that. They're doing things,
mm,
pushing me to publish a weekly and library journal and all of those things. And
yeah.
theoretically, I could do that. It would just cost like $500 or whatever, $1,000 or whatever
hmm
for every title I'm pushing.
hmm
Also, it would make little sense, like because up until very recently, at least, I couldn't put my ebooks into libraries, right? So why would I
Mm,
do anything with the library journal kind of thing? Because
mhm.
I can't, my books aren't there.
Yeah.
Pay you. That's changed, which is really nice. But again, with Publisher Weekly, or work going out to retailers, well, my books are theoretically on Ingram, but
Mhm.
how many of them are going to pick it up?
Yeah.
The cost benefit ratio doesn't really make sense for me. So I find at least they are really doing a lot of that kind of stuff and
Mhm.
some PR stuff that I have not done. I don't do a lot of podcasts. I don't do a lot of outreach that way myself, because I don't necessarily find that they do a lot in terms of sales.
Mm.
And so if I've got a choice, I'd rather be working.
That's fair. No, that's so fair. I feel like, yeah, I feel like the difference I've noticed too is like, because Titan has connections with like specific book boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, so we have for Palace the broken binding and the Inkstone editions, which
I
is
saw
very
that. Very
lovely.
pretty.
Yeah, whereas it's like if I try to do that on my own, unless I have very, very specific connections, right, then it would be very hard to do.
Yeah. I haven't gotten any of those special book boxes yet, which makes me sad. But whatever. I mean, but things like that are amazing that
Mhm.
Titan being a UK one, it seems like the UK really has all the book books, the fun book boxes out there.
I think, yeah, I feel like it's hard too, though, because all these book boxes seem to have very, very specific aesthetics, right? So if you're like in one of them, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll be in like some of the other ones. For example, like the audience for 𝗂𝐿umiCrate and Broken Binding are very, very different, right?
Fair. It's as I said, I actually haven't gotten into any, so I don't really know that much about that. But it's good to know.
I think because I bought from both of them, I notice like trends in the kind of books they'll pick up, right? So I'm like, okay, I see. I
Yeah,
see this is what they'd kind of lean towards.
yeah. But it's really cool that that's an entire area, the special edition kind of thing is happening.
Hmm.
Um, we'll see what happens in the future. But
I
yeah,
believe.
no, but yeah, going back to the marketing thing, it's very different, I would say, from between what we both do. Um, it'll be interesting to see if some of the things that we've got planned to do on our side to support
Mm,
will plan out. But there's also another side of the equation is how much more do we want to do in terms of paid marketing or whatever, uh,
mhm,
compared to what it is, because there's a certain level of, well, I think my audience is tapped out for these books.
mm,
you know, so we'll see.
mhm.
Anyway,
Publishing is so interesting.
it is. It's so much of it is outside of your control too. And you sit
Yes.
there going, okay, now we're just waiting. And then you're waiting for like a year and a half, whatever it might.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually wild.
Any other questions you'd like to ask? Or
I had one, but it is escaping my mind now.
no
Let
worries.
me have a think. Uh, oh yeah, so you were talking about how like even before you had the announcement, they had like the cover art. So like how much of a say did you have in your cover art for it?
A decent amount actually, I would
Okay.
say. I didn't they asked me, if I had any ideas or concepts for what the cover art
Hmm.
is, what I would like for it to look like. And then when it came in, they'd asked my opinion on stuff like the poses and the color schemes and
Mm,
even the font to some extent. And even when I made objections, it's talking again from an indie perspective, I have preferences. because I see
Hmm.
so much ebook cover art. But I also have an understanding, or I've come to an understanding that what I see and envision as good cover art, um, because it looks good on the screen, might not actually be good or the best option as a physical book kind of thing.
Mm.
Because what you
Hmm.
look in a physical book is going to be different from what you see in screen. Um,
Hmm.
Emma Wong's she has this special edition that for the 𝗂𝗂𝒃𝒃 up
Hmm.
in uh, Indigo here in
Mm.
Canada. And have you seen it?
Let me see. I think I have. It's like a very simple one,
It's a
right?
very
With
simple
like,
one where it's blue
let me
with
see.
black and gold kind of
Oh, okay. Yes, yes,
etching and
yes.
everything like it. And you look at it as a picture on a screen, and it
Mm.
doesn't look interesting. It to me, it
Mm.
doesn't look like anything. It's not
Mm.
great to me.
Hmm.
Then you go and take a look at it in the physical bookstore, and you're like, oh, they did a raised edging, they did go, a bit of foil on it, and then
Hmm.
it's like, oh, yeah, this is catches my eye as I'm walking past
Hmm.
as a physical book. And so when I was talking to them about covers, I was very much, these are my opinions, but you guys are the experts. Uh,
Mm.
if you have something that you really think is going to work, I'm going
Hmm.
to lean in your direction because your what they see is very different from what my brain sees because
Mm.
I'm so used to online. You know, everything has to fit into a box this small and has to have enough contrast in a box this small that someone goes, oh, hey, I'll read it. Especially if it's black and white, because if someone's that's what I think about is when someone has a reader, right? Uh,
Yeah.
if it's an old school reader like mine, all the pictures in there is black and white and that small.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
so, does it look good, black and white, that small, to catch interest? That's one of the things I
Hmm.
look at. It's different when you've got a physical book, which is that big.
Yeah, for sure. It's very interesting. I think that's something I've also noticed by doing like in-person events at Indigo versus like just promoting it on Instagram and things like that. And it's like a very, very different audience that comes in and picks up the book. And like a lot of people who may not otherwise pick up the book unless you're in there being like, hey, would you like to try this thing? You know?
Yeah, but yeah, so it's yeah.
Kobe, yeah, I'm very curious though to hear about like your post-publication experience when the books come out, especially with like the 3 month gap and having to slot your books in between, but also like doing in-person promotions as they probably will want you to do, right? As it comes up.
Yeah, I wish I would have more information about what's coming up. Just because, as you said, I've got so much that I had. It's so strange because on one side of things, I am planning for 2027. And the
Hmm.
other side of things, I have no idea what I'm doing in March. I don't know what bookstores I'm going to visit, if I'm going to
Yeah.
be in the US or in Canada. You know,
Hmm.
there are Canadian bookstores I'd love to go and see and,
Hmm.
set up. But if the publisher wants me in the US, then I think they have the right to, drag me there. You know, um, even if I don't necessarily want to go to the US right this second.
That is fair. But hopefully they will all pay for it, then it will feel less
Burden.
terrible.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much going on that I would love more details so I can try to figure out my timing and
Yeah.
just figure out how much press. And then I don't, because they're doing 3 books, I don't know. Obviously, book one is going to be crazy. One way
Hmm.
or the other, I'll push it as hard. I don't know what's going to happen with book two and book three, right? Do we push as much? Am I going to as many bookstores? Am I going to more bookstores because there's more bookstores to go to? And then what happens with book three? And so all of that's going to impact my writing time as well and editing and everything. And so that's why I'm kind of like get as much as done as possible this year before
Yeah.
March because I have to do it. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. And because everything I'm writing is a year ahead, that means what I write
Hmm.
now is going to be 27, 28.
Yeah,
It's like, oh,
that that's what I had in my mind too. I was like, if I can have like a long form backlog, then I can afford to kind of meander on submission and like have more time to try to fit in like my future books, right? Because at this point, I'm already slotted until like the end of 2027. So whatever gets picked up is probably going to be slotted for 2028, unless they also want 2027, which then it'll be very crazy, but that's fine. We're prepared-ish.
ish. I know. This is very much, I think, a trad pub kind of thing problem. It's like indies as I said, most indies think 3 to 6 months ahead. Like
Mm.
I know of a few indies who are like a 1 year ahead kind of thing. I don't know of any who are planning for 28.
I think, yeah, because I have like so many story ideas and things like that. Like assuming that things sell, of course, then I have my publication planned until like 2030, probably 2031.
Wow. Um, for my indie work, Cataclysms, which is the sequel to Immortal Connections, and it's an epic fantasy. Um, and I actually do want to go and ask. That was the other thing I wanted to ask you about, which is what books you're reading for your epic fantasy. But that one is going to be one book a year, so and it's 9 books.
Mm.
So
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
it's going to be 2034 before I have to worry about having something to write.
That is, yeah, that is fair. That is fair.
Oh.
But- Oh my gosh.
But what are you reading for epic fantasy research?
So I have not started it yet because of all the other like projects I've been backed up with. But I've been looking at, was it intangible cultures, like intangible culture things in China, something like the operas, or like what was the other thing I was looking at, or like porcelain making, things like that. Well, that one's technically tangible, but kind of like the art of it is more intangible. Shadow puppetry, things like that.
Oh, that sounds
Yes,
fun.
it's going to be very interesting, I think.
Huh. It's so interesting what aspects people jump into and make as part of their research.
I think I love like the very obscure things, that's why.
Nothing wrong with it. Like Judy Island's A Magic Steeped in Poison, which is
Mm,
about all about tea and poison. And I'm like, such a well-written book. I really
hmm
did. And I really like the idea of magic from tea and tea brewing kind of thing.
hmm Yeah, because I was looking at, so I haven't yet read that book, but it's on the docket on my TBR. But before that, I was looking at like the history of tea too, because like my home province is very known for tea, like Fujian,
Yeah.
and like their primary export in the past was tea. I mean, it's still tea now, but yeah, so I've been looking into that and seeing what I can do with it. Probably won't be magic, but it'll be like something maybe set in that historical period or like inspired by that historical period.
You should go visit the tea conference. Tea, they have a big tea event at the Toronto Public Library every year.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
yeah, so they have tea ceremonies. They'll do show you the old traditional tea ceremonies. And I think the last time I was there a couple of years ago, they had slots 2 or 3 times because they had a Chinese person, a Japanese one going on as well. So they've got different types of tea ceremonies too.
That's so cool.
And then there's all just different types of teas from all across the world, and you can sample them all. You
Yeah.
are very buzzed, just so you know if you're sampling a lot. I was so buzzed because you're taking a small sip of tea, but there's like 40 or something groups, and
Yeah.
they might have like 4 or 5 teas for you to sample. And each,
hmm
so it's just-
Oh, I love that. Okay, I will have to keep an eye on it. Do you know like usually when it is?
I think it's around the summer months.
Okay.
But I think if you
Oh,
Google
okay.
the tea event or something in the
Yeah.
Toronto reference library, it should show up. But yeah,
Okay.
if
Yeah,
you
it
want to
says
go,
Toronto Tea Festival.
yes. If you want
Ah.
company, give me a shout. I will probably, we've run out of tea, so I will come along.
Oh, wait. So next year's is January 31st.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like coming up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, to Sunday, February 1st. So it's only like a 2-day thing. Okay, let me write this down so I don't forget. See, February. Okay. Toronto Tea Festival. Alrighties. But thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
It
No,
sounds really fun.
it's certainly quite interesting for sure.
Yeah,
I think we've been jabbering away for about an hour. I think it's about time to call it.
that is fair.
At
Yes.
least at least on the recording. So yeah, go do a pitch.
I'm so bad at pitches. Please take a look at the second book of The Natural Engines Duology coming out in April, and my debut novel titled An Empire in the Clouds coming out in September, both with Titan Books.
I will add the links for both once at the bottom of this video. And I'm Tao Wong. This is my channel. We'll probably drag a lot some other people to chat about this stuff, but A Thousand Lee is coming out March. For the first step is coming out March 10th, and the other two books will come out in groups of three, and then a lot of other Celestial Cataclysms in April and lots more. Add yourself to the email list. It's probably the easiest way of keeping informed. All right, thanks.